My wife was getting ready for a date with another man and told me, just accept it. The moment I realized my marriage was collapsing wasn't when I found suspicious text messages. It wasn't when my wife started coming home late or stopped saying, I love you. It was when I walked into our bedroom and saw her smiling at herself in the mirror while getting ready for a date with another man. And when I asked what she was doing, she looked me straight in the eyes and calmly said, just accept it. My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm 40 years old, and I've spent my career as a financial consultant helping people make smart decisions. I've always believed that honesty, loyalty, and respect are the foundation of every successful relationship. My wife Vanessa and I had been married for 12 years. At least I thought we had a happy marriage. Looking back now, the warning signs had been there for months. She suddenly became protective of her phone. She laughed at messages she refused to show me. Business meetings lasted later and later. Every time I asked if something was wrong, she'd smile without looking at me. You're imagining things, Daniel. So eventually, I stopped asking. Then came that Friday evening. I arrived home almost 2 hours earlier than usual after my last client canceled. The house was unusually quiet except for soft music playing upstairs. As I reached our bedroom, I noticed several elegant dresses spread across the bed. Vanessa stood in front of the mirror applying lipstick. She looked stunning. Not for me. The surprise on her face lasted only a second. I thought you'd be home later, she said. I forced a smile. Big night? She hesitated. I'm meeting Eric. I recognized the name. Her coworker. The man she'd been mentioning more and more over the last few months. Oh, company dinner? She slowly shook her head. No. Then she took a deep breath. It's a date. Everything inside me froze. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. None came. You can't be serious. I am. The silence between us became unbearable. Finally, I asked, so you're leaving me? She shrugged as though we were discussing weekend plans. I don't know yet. What does that even mean? I've been unhappy for a long time. I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath my feet. You expect me to sit here while my wife goes on a date with another man? Instead of guilt? Instead of shame. She sighed impatiently. Daniel, just accept it. Those 3 words hurt more than anything else she'd said, not because she wanted another man, but because she expected me to quietly accept being treated like I didn't matter. I looked around the room we'd shared for over a decade. Our wedding photo sat on the dresser. Vacation pictures covered the walls. 12 years of memories suddenly felt like decorations in someone else's house. Without raising my voice, without arguing, I walked into my office. I packed a small overnight bag. When I came back downstairs, Vanessa looked confused. What are you doing? I picked up my car keys. You told me to accept your decision. She nodded. I did. I have. Her expression instantly changed. Daniel, wait. I opened the front door. That's not what I meant. I know. I looked at her one last time, but I'm not staying in a marriage where my wife expects me to compete for the right to be her husband. She rushed toward me. Please, let's talk after I get back. I shook my head. If you walk out that door for him, I'm walking out for good. For the first time that evening, she looked scared. I left without another word. That night, I stayed at my older brother's house. Around midnight, my phone exploded with missed calls. 23, then 31. Voicemail after voicemail. Finally, a text appeared. I couldn't do it. Please come home. I ignored it. The next morning, another message arrived. I sat in my car outside the restaurant for an hour. I never went inside. Still, I didn't answer. Monday morning, she showed up at my office. No makeup. Red eyes. She looked like someone who hadn't slept. I made the biggest mistake of my life, she whispered. I remained silent. She sat across from me and broke down crying. I wanted attention. I wanted someone to make me feel important again. Then why didn't you tell me? I thought you wouldn't listen. So your solution was to destroy our marriage? She covered her face. I don't deserve forgiveness. No, I quietly replied. You don't. Those words hit her harder than any argument ever could. Over the following months, we entered marriage counseling. Not because everything was suddenly okay. Far from it. Trust had been shattered. Every promise had to be rebuilt one painful conversation at a time. Vanessa resigned from the department where Eric worked. She gave me complete transparency with her phone and schedule. Not because I demanded it, but because she knew trust couldn't survive without honesty. Healing wasn't quick. Some days I questioned whether staying was the right decision. Some days she questioned whether I would ever forgive her. Nearly a year later, while we were eating dinner together, she quietly reached across the table and held my hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For refusing to accept less than you deserved." I realized then that love without respect isn't love at all. The day Vanessa told me to just accept it, she believed I would sacrifice my dignity to keep our marriage alive. Instead, walking away forced both of us to face the truth. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't begging someone to stay. Sometimes it's having enough self-respect to walk away and giving them one final chance to decide whether they're willing to fight for what they almost lost forever.